I think the immigrant community that I know is very resilient. They don't easily adapt to the culture here. They stick to their roots, and I think it's something very beautiful because we get to pass it on to future generations. They're always very proud of where they come from. I think another thing that makes up the immigrant community is that they're very hardworking people. Many of them came from low-income backgrounds back in their home country. Many of them have been facing many struggles throughout their whole life, and coming here is, for them, was like to look for something better. And I think they always have like that vision of, I can do much better here than I can in my country. That's what motivates them to work hard and keep going. And many of them have accomplished many, like people that I know and stories that I've heard, like they've accomplished so much from, where they came from. And I think it's something super powerful. And I think another thing that makes up the immigrant community is how positive they remain. I feel like, when I talk to my parents, like they mostly always like bring up everything good that they've been able to get because of being here, rather than focusing on what they have not been giving. And I think that's very powerful. I think for me, I did come the first time to the US when I was 3 years old. And so it wasn't as difficult for me to adjust, because when you're young, it's much more easier to accommodate yourself to what's going on around you. But I did leave back to Mexico in 2nd grade and then came back in 4th grade. And I think that's when it became more difficult for me, having to readjust again to the language here, the culture here. And also besides like when I first came here, I feel like throughout the 13 years that I've been here, there's always something new that you experience, that you go through, that you have to kind of like adjust. So then there was like high school, applying to college. It's way different than for someone who's a citizen. And then now like entering the workforce as well. It's like way different experience. So it's like you're constantly having to adjust. And I think another one has been facing discrimination, your family members facing discrimination. Those are some of the few things that have been difficult, but I feel like it never really gets easy. So I would hope for the government to have better policies that can help us. And then I think another thing as well is that DACA continues and that DACA expands, because yes, DACA benefits a good amount of people, but there's also a good amount of people that are not benefiting from this. And I think I would hope for DACA to expand and benefit way more people. And I think another huge one for me is I feel like the US tends to, when it talks about immigration, they tend to focus on the young people. And I would hope for immigration reform for parents or, like adults that migrated here, because I feel like they're the ones that struggled the most. They're the ones that left their home country. They're the ones that had to find a better future for themselves here. Because I don't believe in the American dream. I don't think that idea of like you come here and as long as you work hard you'll get what you want, because that's not true. For me, I think it's my family, just because most of my family is in Mexico, and since I was able to go back for a year or two, I have more vivid memories of what Mexico was like. And I just remember it always being around family, because like Mexican families tend to have a lot of kids, and so your family is really, really huge. Like for me, like both sides, grandparents had 10 kids, so our family was really, really big. So all I remember from Mexico mostly is that family, like being around family, and I think that's always what I would always remember Mexico.